The smoking gun, the bribe, the body count. Here's what the sugar industry doesn't want you to know, and you're living with the consequences. You're doing everything right, eating low fat, counting calories, and you still can't lose weight. Your energy is gone. Inflammation is through the roof. That's not your fault. In 1967, Harvard scientists were paid $6,500 by the sugar industry to publish a study that blamed fat for heart disease, so they could sell more sugar. That lie rewrote the dietary guidelines and made millions chronically ill. If you're struggling with weight, energy, or inflammation, this is why. In the next 14 minutes, I'm going to show you the evidence, the internal memos, the receipts, the proof, and I'm going to give you the real protocol, the one that prevents heart disease, reverses metabolic failure, and makes weight loss easy. This is the real science they buried for 50 years. I'm an investigative journalist with 45 years in the field, trained by the Associated Press, produced for ABC News, Fox News, and Oprah. My father investigated grant fraud at the NIH. I learned to spot corruption in science before I learned to drive. This is the biggest nutritional cover-up in American history. Let me show you how it started and what you can do about it. It's the mid-1960s, and the surge in heart attacks has been breathtaking. Some scientists begin to suspect sugar might be the culprit. Others say it's fat. Doctors blame stress. Politicians blame smoking. The food industry was about to choose which science the public would hear. You've heard it your whole life. Fat clogs your arteries. Sugar, it's fuel, it's harmless. Have some sugar for energy, move more, eat less, and everything will fall into place. It's 1967, and Harvard scientists are about to publish a landmark paper in the New England Journal of Medicine. Here's what that Harvard study did, and who paid for it. In 1965, the Sugar Research Foundation approached two Harvard scientists with a proposition. They'd pay them to review existing studies on diet and heart disease, and reach the conclusion that made fat look like the culprit for heart disease and make sugar seem safe. Project 226 wasn't commissioned through Harvard. The scientists took the money directly. It was corruption dressed up as science. They hired two Harvard scientists, Dr. Mark Hegsted and Dr. Frederick Stare. The mission was clear: make fat the villain, make sugar the innocent bystander. Within 2 years, the review appeared in the New England Journal of Medicine. It concluded that fat and cholesterol, not sugar, cause heart disease. When the paper was published, no one disclosed the funding. Even for 1967, that violated basic scientific ethics. That $6,500 didn't just buy a study. It bought 50 years of heart disease, an obesity epidemic, and the food pyramid. Hell of a return on investment for Big Sugar. The unveiling of this corruption would not happen for another 50 years. Meanwhile, the world population slowly died prematurely from metabolic syndrome caused by their deception. However, in 1967, no one could have known the damage that would ensue. People trusted institutions like Harvard. This was groundbreaking research vetted and published by the prestigious New England Journal of Medicine. Finally, this was the answer to America's heart disease crisis. The press celebrates it, the government adopts it, and an entire generation of Americans changes how they eat without realizing something isn't adding up. This study informs public health policy, cereal commercials, and low-fat food labels, all engineered to make you hungrier and addicted. By the 1980s, low-fat meant healthy. Breakfast becomes dessert, cereal loaded with sugar, washed down with liquefied sugar called orange juice. The review in the New England Journal of Medicine becomes the foundation for new nutritional guidelines, not just for the U.S., but for the world. And for Dr. Mark Hegsted, his career is taking off. He soon helps craft the 1977 dietary goals for the United States, the blueprint that would evolve into the food pyramid itself. But the sugar industry wasn't done. In 3 minutes, I'll show you how the American Heart Association became part of the scheme. Drop a comment if you already knew about the AHA's financial ties to Big Sugar. Let's see who's paying attention. The American Heart Association warned Americans about the dangers of beef and butter while cashing checks from cereal manufacturers. Medical integrity at its finest, taking money from the industry, selling the sugar that does more cardiovascular harm than any other ingredient, then telling you it's heart healthy. Here's the truth they buried. Eating cholesterol doesn't raise your blood cholesterol. Sugar does. Sugar raises bad LDL cholesterol. Sugar drives inflammation. Sugar damages your arteries. Sugar causes heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. But the AHA blamed beef and eggs because Big Sugar was signing the checks. British scientist John Yudkin had been warning since 1957 that sugar, not fat, caused heart disease. In 1972, he published Pure, White, and Deadly, a book that laid out the evidence with precision. The sugar industry didn't just ignore him, they destroyed him. They funded scientists to discredit his research. They mocked him in journals. They got him disinvited from conferences. His research funding disappeared. Speaking invitations dried up. Colleagues who once collaborated quietly distanced themselves. John Yudkin tried to save lives. The sugar industry silenced him because he threatened their profits. The AHA chose the science Big Sugar paid for, and millions died from heart disease that could have been prevented. In the 1970s, they launched ads claiming that a soft drink before meals could help you lose weight. The sugar in a soft drink now can save me a lot of calories later, the ads promised. This wasn't marketing, this was warfare, and the FDA believed them. Behind the scenes, sponsorship deals blurred the line between science and marketing. Public trust was sold one endorsement at a time. Big Food seized the opportunity. Shelf-stable grains, refined sugar, and industrial oils could sit in warehouses for years, feeding profits, not people. Our government told us to build every meal on foods engineered for storage and sales, not health. Convenience became policy. Shelf life replaced human life as the metric that mattered. By 1992, the USDA food pyramid locked the lie into law. 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. A pyramid built on processed grain and profit. Research shows that added sugar dramatically increases the risk of heart disease, insulin resistance, and metabolic dysfunction. Obesity tripled, diabetes skyrocketed, and the lie was still paying dividends. Fast forward to 2016. It's been 50 years since Harvard scientists convinced the world that fat, not sugar, caused heart disease. A surgical dentist named Dr. Kristen Kearns begins noticing something strange in her low-income clinic. Her patients' teeth are rotting at an alarming rate, even those who don't drink sugary soda. She suspected sugar was the cause, not just cavities, something deeper, something systemic. Everyone told her she was chasing ghosts. Her peers insisted sugar was harmless, just an energy boost, nothing dangerous. The scientific consensus was settled by the Harvard Sugar Study, but Kristen Kearns didn't believe them. She quit her job, leaving everything she knew behind. She embarked on an extensive search for answers, digging through Harvard University archives. Most of what she'd found was mundane: budget reports, dead-end correspondence. She didn't even know what she was looking for, but she knew she had to press on. Then she saw it, a plain manila folder, Project 226. She held her breath. Below the blue letterhead of the Sugar Research Foundation, the word confidential leapt off the page. She sunk down in her chair, breathing out and saying thank you to nobody in particular. Inside, margin notes in fountain pen, a ledger entry, $6,500 to Hegsted and McGandy. She wasn't holding research, she was holding the pivot point of public health history. The payment structure reveals everything. Half up front, the remainder only upon publication. They weren't funding research, they were buying a publishable defense of sugar. Dr. Kristen Kearns had just poked holes in the sugar industry's perfect cover story, and the truth came pouring out. For 50 years, the perfect crime, until a young dentist found the smoking gun. That $6,500 didn't just buy a study, it bought 50 years of heart disease, an obesity epidemic, and the food pyramid. Cutting fat didn't save lives, it created a cascade of problems. When you remove fat from food, you remove the flavor. So the food industry replaced it with sugar and artificial flavorings. This is when that tidal wave of chemicals flooded the American food supply. Low-fat yogurt, low-fat cookies, low-fat salad dressing, all became sugar bombs laced with lab-created flavor compounds, disguised as health food. For decades, we were told that butter, eggs, and steak were the culprits. But when the world went low-fat, heart disease didn't fall. It skyrocketed. The truth hiding in plain sight was that sugar drives the very inflammation and insulin spikes that fuel heart attacks. And despite half a century of evidence, the messaging never changed. The American Heart Association still frames fat as the enemy while quietly accepting millions in educational grants from the same food and pharmaceutical companies that profit from chronic disease. Those red and white heart check logos on cereal boxes and bottles of corn oil, they weren't badges of science, they were sponsorships, paid endorsements disguised as medical guidance. The sugar industry didn't just rewrite the science, it rewired our entire food system, setting off the chain reaction of metabolic destruction. Walk through any grocery store right now. Low-fat labels are everywhere. Yogurt, cookies, salad dressing, all loaded with sugar and seed oils, still pretending to be healthy. How did that lie survive half a century? Simple. The corruption didn't end with one Harvard study. It became infrastructure. Government subsidies, industry lobbying, regulatory capture. The system that created the lie is still running the show. Even American scientists tried to speak up. George Mann, a researcher who studied the dietary fat hypothesis, called it the greatest scientific deception of this century. His funding disappeared. His papers stopped getting published. By the 1970s, Big Food finds an even sweeter deal. Cane sugar is expensive, imported, and regulated. But corn is subsidized, American, abundant, and dirt cheap. High fructose corn syrup is perfected in Japan, then licensed in the U.S. By 1984, Coke and Pepsi switched to high fructose corn syrup, not for flavor, but for profit. But corn didn't just replace sugar, it replaced butter too. Margarine made from corn oil and soybean oil is cheaper to produce, more profitable to sell, and more inflammatory than the butter they demonized. The AHA gave it their heart-healthy stamp of approval. Corn becomes the new gold mine. Washington calls it energy independence. Industry calls it innovation. In reality, it's dependency on one crop, one chemical, one addiction that rewires the human metabolism. Obesity, heart disease, all rise in parallel with the spread of high fructose corn syrup. The sugar doesn't just clog arteries, it clogs neurons. It rewires brain chemistry. Dementia and Alzheimer's rates skyrocket. If you're finding this eye-opening, hit subscribe. Tells YouTube this kind of content matters. Comment below, are you addicted to sugar? Be honest. The sugar industry didn't just rewrite the science of nutrition. They engineered the entire food supply to keep you addicted. I'll show you how in 60 seconds. The sugar industry borrowed the tobacco playbook. They didn't need to prove sugar was safe. They just needed to create confusion, make the science look uncertain, keep people eating, keep them addicted. Endocrinologist Dr. Robert Lustig has spent decades studying what sugar really does inside the human body. A neuroendocrinologist from the University of California, San Francisco, Lustig was among the first scientists to expose how sugar hijacks your endocrine system, disrupts metabolism, and rewires the brain's reward pathways. From your mouth to your stomach and even to your brain, sugar has numerous negative effects that can lead to long-term health issues. His 40 years of research show that sugar isn't just empty calories, it's biochemically addictive, the breakdown of your body's ability to regulate hunger, energy, and mood. Lustig argues that the majority of the modern food supply isn't built to nourish us.
73% of the
It's
items in the
engineered to
American
keep us
grocery
hooked.
store are poison.
73%. The modern food system wasn't an accident. It was engineered for maximum profit and shelf life, not human health. Meanwhile, Kevin Hall at the NIH ran the landmark 2019 cell metabolism study. He demonstrated that people consumed approximately 500 extra calories per day when provided with ultra-processed foods. Why? Because hyperpalatable foods hijack appetite and metabolism. We had been engineered to overconsume, yet almost no one was aware of it. The findings barely made the morning news because networks couldn't afford to bite the hand that fed them. Processed food companies were their biggest advertisers. And when your sponsor sells breakfast cereal, you don't run stories showing it rewires metabolism. The good news is that our biology can recover if we stop fighting it. Here's what they don't want you to know: sugar is the most inflammatory food you can eat. It's also biochemically addictive. It hijacks your brain's reward system the same way cocaine does. That's not hyperbole, that's published neuroscience. So here's the protocol they buried. First, eliminate the poison. Cut all added sugars, every renamed form hiding in processed foods, high fructose corn syrup, maltodextrin, dextrose, all of it. Avoid seed oils, refined carbohydrates, and anything labeled low fat. Second, eat real food. Prioritize protein from whole food sources such as meat, fish, and eggs. Add non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats from avocados, olive oil, and grass-fed butter. This is low-carb, high-protein eating. Some call it keto. Some call it carnivore adjacent. Call it whatever you want. It reverses the metabolic damage sugar causes. Whole fruit is fine in moderation, but even fruit spikes insulin, so keep it limited. Third, track your response. Get a continuous glucose monitor, also known as a CGM. It's a small sensor you wear on your arm that shows you in real time how every food affects your blood sugar. Everyone is different. You'll see exactly why that heart-healthy cereal spikes your glucose to 180, while eggs and steak keep you stable at 90. Data doesn't lie. Fourth, repair the mitochondria. Sugar destroyed your cellular energy factories. Rebuild them by taking CoQ10 for energy. Take NMN and TMG to restore NAD+, which is what repairs your DNA and maintains healthy cell and organ function. Take urolithin A for autophagy. This is the process that recycles old, damaged, or unnecessary cells and generates energy to provide building blocks for new structures. Fifth, align your circadian rhythm. Morning sunlight, regular meal times, minimal blue light at night. Use red light at night. Studies show this alone reduces your risk of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and dementia by up to 40%. Do these things, and you won't just protect your metabolism, you'll boost it. You'll reverse the damage decades of corrupt dietary guidelines inflicted on your body. You've been eating by design. It's time to evolve by choice. Refer to the links below for CGM recommendations, trusted supplement sources, and in-depth research. And if this video helped you see the food system differently, please drop a comment and tell me what shocked you the most. Share it with someone who still thinks low fat means healthy. Want the next episode? Tap the bell. We're not done exposing how the food industry rewired your biology and what you can do to unwind the damage.